are really helping people to balance their energies and align with the path that they meant to walk in life. So, would you give us an example of what do you do with people? What do you do in your sessions?
It's interesting how people come to me for sessions because typically, people think that they have a need and they're feeling like, oh, this is what I need. And when they come, it's actually I always try to take people to their roots. That's one thing. And from their roots to their beginning is where you find your answers. At least for me, it's been this way. And I don't know if I have shared the story about, right now I'm an orphan because both of my parents died. But through meditation and working, with Akashic records and healing and angels, it came to me that, as far as lineage, I come from a lineage of orphan children that come from, this is something that is like a woo woo, subject, maybe a little bit weird, but, I just have to share it.
Mystical, we call it.
Something that's inside of me. Bubbling up.
Mystical.
So the lineage of children that come from other families and they go from one life to another, to another, to another, as far as the Akashic records, like in the cycle of dharma and karma, and you reincarnate, in the wheel, and you go from one life to another, and you belong to a lineage of children that have been orphans. It comes to a point where your vibration, as far as a person, as a soul, you go into one life where you are being the parent, where you become the parent of your parents, and you start to play a different role. And even though you're a child, in my case, uh, I don't know if I told you that my mom, when I was about 3 years old, lost her sight, so she couldn't see. So I became about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, I became her walker. So that was my first job, to be the eyes of my mother so she could walk and work, and take care of all her other children. So I was like, she would talk to me in the morning and we'll have this routine where I will go with her, help her. So she will do all those things, even putting makeup, getting ready for the day, cooking the meals for my brothers and sisters, and so on and so forth. So I was her eyes, but I was also her walker. I was her advisor. So this lineage of children that come, from even from other planets, I'll say, they would come to this planet to serve as far as energy. We have lived so much, so we are very old souls that have come here to the planet in service. So I started working on a project that is called Orphan Family Fellowship, that is for people who feel like that have suffered, losing their family or losing their parents, but it's dedicated, the idea that I have is dedicated or focused to support children that have no money to pay for their school. Because in my case, I started very, very little working so I could pay for my school. So it was either you work and you give money to the house so you can sustain our family, because we were so many right now, 57 children. Imagine that, 10 wives, only one father. So even though he was rich, because he was a millionaire, he had many businesses, he was very rich, but he only had certain families where he will be, giving money to. And the rest of the other families, the other wives, they had to work, and the children. So for us, working, it was something natural that we needed to work. So we had this choice. I asked my father, I asked my mom, I want to be an engineer, I want to study. Actually, I wanted to be a scientist, not an engineer, yeah, and an astronaut. So my calling was to become an astronaut. So Mexican astronauts, not so many. Mexican scientists, maybe, but back then I was so little and I had no grasp of the limitation of this is what you can be, this is what you can do. And I always say that I wanted to be an archaeologist because I love stones and minerals and fossils. So I had to pay for my school. So I started very, very little working, and my first job, my first official job was to be the walker of my mom, but I was also her advisor, her administrator. I helped her with the money to organize. And also when she was doing sales, because we were always selling something, either food or something for entertainment. So we go to these parties and we organize entertainment. So we were always putting, food and candy and things that cakes, and people, wanted to eat something. So that was our thing to do. And I started very, very little in sales. So even though I started a career that is technology, I was always trying to invent something. So I'm also a scientist, an inventor, a creator. So even though I don't own the patents for the things that I have created as a science person, I've done many things, many crazy things. Like ultrasonic welding, first diapers that were created that, like, they pull up and down. The pull up. I always say as a joke that I'm the granddaddy of that technology. My friends laugh at me like, you're too young to be a granddad, but at 32, I was already the granddaddy of many things like that. So as far as the sessions with the people, the way that I connect the people is people looking for something. Either that they are going through a process in their lives, they're not certain about what are they failing in school, their choices that they made are not the right ones, are they doing something wrong, and they come from me to advice or for healing. And from that, we always start with a session. And in this session, we go and see what they have activated in their system, like what's on, what's off. I call that in three stages. What's your power? What's your potential? And what's your pressure? That's basic human design language. But those three things are the three things they're activating you energetically. So your energy system has these three levels that you're always accessing. And that's the first thing that I teach people. Like, what's your energy system like? What is your configuration? So that you understand how you're using your energy, and also how can you improve and optimize the way that you're using your energy. Sometimes I go into nutrition as well. If the person is asking for that, like I have people that have issues with overweight and they want to lose weight, or they're getting sick and they don't know what they're getting sick. So people come from different areas asking for different things, but I always start with the basic. First, the energy system. And after we go into the energy system, I start putting things to balance the energy system. So that's how I use the jewelry. The jewelry, I use it right now. I use a different system. I use a system of 8 basic stones, and those 8 basic stones work with specific areas of your energy system, and they will give you certain activations and balancing. So if your energy is too high in certain things, it will lower the energy. It will balance it to go lower, attune it. If the energy is too low, it will increase the frequency and make it higher. So the jewelry that I do is basically that. So in the past, I was just doing jewelry like the piece that you're wearing right now. That would be expensive right now to do, and not many people could buy it. Not many people could get it.
Luckily, I got it as a gift from you. It is
Yes,
amazing, absolutely amazing piece of jewelry that I cherish and love, and it does balance my energy really well.
yes,
So I'm grateful forever. It's been at least 10 years, I think.
yes. And it's a very nice stone. You got some opals in there, and rubies and silver. But in
Beautiful.
other cases, I tried to do it more accessible. Like if there was a student that was coming to me and they wanted to do something, the way that I do the jewelry right now is I can have one stone, and I call them nectar drops. So the nectar drops, or the crystal seeds, that's the way that I call them, can be made into a bracelet that will have just one bead. They say that one stone can have, a aura or a radio of energy, a
Yeah.
range of 7 meters. And the power that it has, even though it's little, it's just like a little pebble, it's just a little circle, it's just a bead. It has the same energy or the same power than having, multiple in them. Like you don't need to have a bunch of stones. That's what I'm saying. You can have just one of each and have the 8 stones in a bracelet, like Chinese people call them chambala bracelets. They have one of each representing, and they weave them. They use thread. It could be synthetic or it could be natural thread, depending on what you want to do. Or you could use metal. You can thread it in that way. And that's the way that I, make it more accessible for certain people, like students that come to me for coaching, for sessions. They want to understand, and empowerment, because sometimes they feel like they're lost, like they don't have a role model. They don't have somebody that will advise them. is not accessible in some communities, and career coaching is more into university levels, or somebody that is getting to that level that is going to choose if they want to become an engineer or a doctor or something like that. But for children, when they're like in kindergarten, elementary, just starting school and education, sometimes their parents, they don't know how to educate their children. And that's the type of coaching that I'm doing as well. Like I go for children. I have a son, he's only 5, and I'm learning a lot from him. He's actually my mentor, for many things. And I have become more sensitive as far as what other people that come to me for sessions actually need. So I go into a family model, first the family, and then I go into organizations. Sometimes I work with organizations that they need training, like the training, I call it the purpose disruptor. What is the purpose of a person? And in my offerings, I say disrupting the purpose, because sometimes the purpose of that person, they might have been hired to a certain job, and they have this cool education. They might be an engineer, they might be, an accountant, but energetically, that's not their purpose.
It's not their goal. The soul is
Exactly, it's
going
not their
to
calling. So sometimes the sessions that I do are to align the person to the proper calling. Like in my case, I might be an engineer because I studied that, because I always look to, I like to look for complex things. I like to make things complicated or to resolve puzzles.
so engineering is just one of those.
Exactly. It's just my playground. It's just I have a lot of fun, getting complicated. But that's not my calling. I know that in my heart that my calling is different. My calling is teaching. I know that I am a teacher. I'm here to teach people, but I'm also a healer. So I teach people how to heal, how to find their way to healing, and that's my nature. So
You're
even though I spent almost 20 years going to university and education, learning to become an engineer, it's not a waste of time because I know many things. I'm having fun, but as far as service, that's my focus right now. What is my service? What is my mission? And that's why I say that I'm disrupting the purpose of people. That's my job. My job is to
you're disrupting the
align people to
idea.
their purpose, to
Yeah,
what they need to do, so that they don't waste time, doing things that
you're
are not.
disrupting the idea of that they have about their purpose, and you bring them back to their soul calling, and harmonizing them with your jewelry, with your wisdom, to that which really truly moves them forward. And I am thrilled and happy that we are today we're just having a formal conversation across the miles, because we are very much about the same. I am also, I'm a fire that burns down unnecessary garbage so the new can start growing. And I work with people on the same issues, like what is it that doesn't let you step into your purpose? What holds you back? And usually what holds us back is the fear that we might not have as much goodness or as much money or as much friends or as much of whatever, when we actually become truly authentically living on our soul path, walking our soul path. So we are going to have a lot of those conversations. I actually am planning on organizing a live TV so we can teach and we can share your wisdom, and you can share your jewelry and what you understand, what's behind it, because every crystal is the library. It holds the information, ancient information about the earth, about the inhabitants of earth, about the moral values. So when you take the crystal and you open your body, your energetic field to connect with that, you receive the wisdom through that crystal that is beyond human logical realm of understanding. And so,
Mhm.
Julio, you are a translator of that wisdom. But most importantly, you are um, you're standing at the shimmering gate of the mystical realm of the crystals. And with all the knowledge that you've gained, including your engineering and including your relationship coaching and including your orphan relationship to people who suffered, and including wives that suffered when they have to share one husband, and 57 children, and all of that, everything that brought you, and hand money, everything that brought you in to this moment today was for you to be the teacher that you are, to share the wisdom of your heart, to call your soul into alignment, and role model that calling for everybody who is willing and open to receive your wisdom. And according to human design, it is the time of your life right now where we are ready to listen to your wisdom. And I am honored and happy for our connection. We are gonna complete this broadcast, but Julio is gonna share the links with you, where to find him if you want a personal session, where to find him if you want a jewelry, where is the information about who he is, his website, and everything is going to be in the comments. So please look for the comments and be ready for more broadcasts. And with that, thank you very much. It was a great, amazing session. And I love you. I love your wisdom, and I love all that you do for humanity. You are a true cross pollinator. We need more of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.